just a thought. It's my opinion. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. Get out your feelings. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. It's my opinion. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. Get out your feelings.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Just a Thought with Sharí Nycole, and I finally get to sit down with the one and only Dr. Sheri Riley, who literally has functioned in so many different fields of entertainment, sports, life coaching. You're an author. You've been everywhere, okay?
Yeah.
And so I was trying to find a term for you for the last few days. It's almost like you're the success whisperer.
Oh, wow.
Like you have this ability to not only draw success in for yourself, but for other people. But it's like people know who you are and insiders know, but you're still kind of under the radar a little bit. But anybody that gets in your vicinity is going to win. So I'm calling you the success whisperer.
That is actually pretty dope. Because you know what's so interesting about that and why that's so dope is a few years ago, before I actually transitioned to coaching, I realized that about myself. Like, I realized anything I touched or anyone I worked with, they went on to a higher level of success. And it was very humbling. It was very, very humbling. But it was also a little scary. And the scary part was, what does that look like for me?
Right.
What does that look like? So the scary part was, okay, Sheri, how are you limiting that for yourself? Because you see how it exponentially helps others.
Right.
And so it was an aha. So I love that you got that.
I'm just trying to come up with fun stuff.
Yeah. And when I use it, I'm gonna give you all the credit the first 2 times.
And then after that, it's yours. You don't have to say it anymore. Because then I'll go around saying, Dr. Sheri Riley said that that's what she was.
I gave her that name.
And I think it's so fun too because you have a basketball background, which this is why you're my sister.
Yes.
For you, how have you been able to integrate, that athletic side of you? You still work out.
Yeah.
I saw you down to the cruise about a month or so ago. You're still playing on the court.
Yeah. I still got the rotation.
On the cruise ship.
Yeah.
So how do you integrate, your sports background into this beautiful rubric of exponential living and success?
Yeah, I believe every female should play sports. I absolutely do, because there is such a level of teamwork.
Yeah.
There's such a level of winning and losing. There's such a level of what practice does for you. And so all of those things that we get in sports, I incorporate into everything I do.
Yeah.
But I will say the most powerful way I incorporate it into what I do is I hate small talk.
Oh, I can't. I was just complaining about it to my friend yesterday. I can't stand it.
Small talk. And so sports gives me that small talk, especially because I work in sports. I work with a lot of corporate executives, and sports is a universal conversation.
Yeah.
So it is really my go-to. Plus, I love it. Let me tell you, when my husband and I first started dating, he came to my house to pick me up, and I had SportsCenter on.
Yeah.
At that time, that was the signature show on ESPN. And so it was on, I was getting dressed, and about maybe a month into us dating, he was like, oh my God, like you really do watch SportsCenter all day.
You're not
He's
a
like,
fraud. You're not capped because you're with me.
Yeah,
you
he
actually
was
enjoy
like,
this.
I thought you had that on for me. He was like, but you really watch. I still, to this day, my TV is always on SportsCenter, always on ESPN, to this day. Yes.
Now you take that, but then you take it into the actual industry, which is a totally different beast.
Yes.
So how did you feel equipped to even enter, and we'll get into the entertainment industry in a moment, but how did you feel equipped to enter into the sports industry? And then what are some keys to your success in that space? And if you want to name drop, you sure can, because you can't really see them all that well, but there's a ton of plaques. We are in Dr. Sheri Riley's woman/man cave.
Yeah.
It's beautifully renovated, and there's plaques everywhere. Sports, entertainment, all that good stuff. So if you want to name drop, feel free.
Okay.
Because people always need credibility. They need receipts.
Yeah.
So if you want to present your receipts today,
feel free.
feel free.
So why I felt confident and comfortable in the sports space is, one, my dad told me, find what you love to do, baby, you'll never have to work. And I love entertainment, I love sports, and I love business.
Yeah.
And so my entire career has been the trifecta of those three things. And because I love sports, it's true to me. Like when I'm talking, and well, let me back up. My mother, who you just met,
yes,
my mother can tell you almost every professional athlete, college athlete, their stats, where they played.
What?
My mother is an encyclopedia.
Did your mom play sports?
Or Google, I should say. Google now, right?
Did she play sports?
She did not play. But when I tell you, my mother right now, this afternoon at lunch, was telling me about the EKU, which is the college in our hometown. Their basketball team did a community engagement. She then went on and told me Damian Harris, who plays for I think Damian's with the Patriots now. He's from my hometown. His whole stats. My mother knows everything. She sends articles to athletes that she knows of.
The mama upstairs, my
mother upstairs.
So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going back up there after this is over with. And me and her are going to have a conversation.
When I tell you, it will blow your mind. So I grew up in that. I grew up in that environment. And so between my dad telling me find what you love to do and my mother's love of sports and my dad's like taking me to baseball games and basketball games, it's like it was just there. Yeah. And then you add that to just my background in business. Because the unique thread with all of those three things is at the end of the day, they're all businesses.
Yeah.
And one of the traps people get with sports and entertainment is they forget it's a business. They want to show up on the red carpet, but they don't want to do the 90% of the work that 10% lets you do. Yeah. Yeah, that part. And so I was always honestly more intentional about the 90%.
Okay.
That the 10% was just the icing on the cake at the end.
How do you tap into the psyche of an athlete to ultimately pivot them or transition them into success? Or if they're already successful, into an exponential level of success?
Yeah, it's usually it is really identifying the barriers that allow them to dominate professionally but not grow personally. Right? And so they have learned, like whether it's from Pee Wee football to AAU to T-ball, you learn these skills and these realities around sports, but you don't focus that much energy on who you are outside of the game.
Yeah.
And so what happens is you're on this fast track, especially in sports, that everyone's making decisions for you. You're learning how to speak to the camera, but are you really learning about the conversation in your own head, right?
Yeah.
And so by the time, whether you're in college or whether you get to that, that pro level, you've literally learned how to dominate in your profession. But what I always say is your skill and talent will take you to levels of success your character can't sustain. And so what we focus on is how do we make sure we identify the greatness that you've already shown in this one area of your life.
Yeah.
How do we use those same mindsets and skill sets outside of the game? And a lot of times it's unlocking the barriers, whether it's relationship barriers, challenges with family members, whether it's confidence barriers. I know I'm great at this, but I don't have anything else that I believe I'm great in. Or whether it's a value thing. I'm only great at this. And so I don't even know how to value myself beyond this game. And so we really tap into what are those barriers first.
How do you define an excuse? And then how do you move
Excuses
through
are tools of You know I was going there, right?
Okay, Delta Sigma Theta. Okay. Say if I made it, but I understand where you're coming from.
How do you define an excuse?
Your definition of, and mind you, I asked you this because I'm sure you've received them from celebrity folk, regular folk, business folk, all different areas. And then you throw the ego in there and it might get a little bit challenging. So for you, when you're communicating through these things with your clients in particular, what says excuse? And then what says, okay, here's how we can pivot or transition out of that?
The first way I identify excuses is when they say, I don't know. We start there.
Well, people don't know stuff.
I never let clients say I don't know because we always know. Now, we may not know everything.
But what if we know we don't know? That don't count?
That does not count. Because all I want you to do is focus on what you do know.
Okay.
Right? So the first excuse is when we say I don't know. Because 99.9% of the time when I say you can't say I don't know, just tell me what you do know, they do say something. So that's the first excuse, right?
Okay.
And so navigating around, let's focus on what you do know. Then there's the excuse of, how do I put this gingerly?
You can just say it straight away.
Yeah.
It's just a thought, Dr. Sheri. Tell these people.
Ego is one of the greatest excuses, because what happens is our ego will make us pump up something that's not real, right? And the excuse around that is, I'm going to always try to deflect to this thing, but that's not what I'm talking about. Like, I'm dealing with this thing. Oh, but I'm great at this. I know that, but I'm talking about this. And so I call that an excuse, but it really is wrapped in ego. But people let us off the hook. That's why we can end up using it as an excuse. Well, I don't have to, treat people a certain way because I'm this. I don't have to do this because I'm that. Well, no. I'm gonna tell you, Sylvia Rohn was like the everything for me in college. Like, that's why you saw my office. I have the picture of Sylvia Rohn, because I saw her in Essence. And when I first saw her in Essence, the article was on who she was and her career trajectory. And at that time, and to this day, she was the top African-American female in the music industry. But she started as a receptionist at Buddha Records. And when I read that as a college student, it embedded an eternal fire in me to always respect people. Because think about all the people who disrespected her as a receptionist.
Yeah.
Right? And so we can use our status as an excuse to not be humble, to not be respectful, to not honor people at whatever level we meet them. And so that's one of the greatest excuses, because what that does is it allows people to not truly honor who they are, because they feel like they got to put other people down. Yeah.
I want to talk about honor when it comes to you, because again, what you do is a very demanding thing. Yes. And then take away your clients and you're speaking, you do a lot of different things. How do you temper, or what are your barometers for being able to evaluate, am I honoring myself in this moment, because you give so much to so many people?
I'm my first and most important client. I'm not integral if I tell you self-care is a priority and I'm not doing it. So right before we started, that call I had to make was for a cryotherapy facial and cryotherapy session on Saturday, right? Because I love cryotherapy.
It's a good time.
Have you done it?
It's aggressive, but it's necessary.
3 minutes.
And after I get out, I feel amazing.
Oh my God, amazing. So I am my first and most important client. So whatever I'm making my clients do or encouraging them to do, I have to do first. I had a very important call today. For those of you who know Michael Hyatt, oh my God. I've followed Michael Hyatt for 11 years. Well, today we had a one-on-one call. 10 years in the making for me to have this call. Well, my daughter called me right at the beginning of the call. Excuse me, Michael, I have to take this call. It's my daughter. Because I honor myself, because I honor what's most important. And my daughter in that moment was most important, even though that is a 10-year call in the making. And respectfully, he understood. But I wouldn't want to do business with me if I did not take that call with my daughter. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so it really is living. Like, one of the greatest shocks that people have about me is, oh my God, you really are what you present to be. Like, I hear that all the time.
Isn't that unfortunate though?
It's
great when it comes to you.
Right.
But to me, it's unfortunate because it is integrity, I've come to find.
Yeah.
It's almost an anomaly in many respects.
And it shouldn't be.
It should not be.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. I'll tell you a funny story. So Usher I've known since he was 15. That's my little brother,
What you think about the kilt? I just got to ask. Did you talk to him about that?
I did not. If you look at everything he's been wearing during his time in Paris Fashion Week, he's been very open.
He's been doing his thing.
He's been very open. I think my daughter's, the kilt was fine. The ladybug red jacket was the one my daughter was like, wear the kilt, take the ladybug jacket off, right? But I've, known him since he was 15, me, him, and his mother. We were lock steady, launching his career. I spent every Thanksgiving at his home for probably 10 years. My family, my mom, his mom, we like literally family. 10 years, Janetta, who I love, his mother, we laugh about this. She looked at me one day, we was at her house, and she said, "You really are who you really?" I said, "Janetta." She said, "No, for real." She said, "I've been waiting.
She's been waiting for 10 years.
She's like, because ain't nobody in this industry that. Like, how you, but you really are truly who you presented yourself to be. Because this was 10 years. So we laugh about that to this day. But the reality is, it is an anomaly, and it shouldn't be. But I'm literally a small town girl from Kentucky who's living her dream. Like, I'm genuinely living my dream. I don't know how any other way to be.
What has kept you, anchored in this walk that you're walking?
That ain't easy.
Because again,
it ain't easy.
There's so much temptation. Not only that, and it's not just temptation to do something bad, whatever that means. That's subjective. But temptation to be temperamental, temptation to be angry, temptation to be impatient or short with yourself or other people. So what has kind of kept you like, okay?
Yeah, right. It's been really hard because there's been a lot of times I've had to take a stance that put me on the outside. There's a lot of opportunity that I had to work a lot harder for because I wouldn't do certain things, go to certain places, participate in certain activities. One, just my own personal moral compass. I just can't destroy another person's life just because. My relationship with Christ, which came much later, when I was working at LaFace Records, that's where my relationship with God really flourished. And then that became a North Star for me. But at the core, honestly, take God out of it, take integrity out of it. If I really narrowed it down, I want everybody to win. I want everybody to win. Like, at the end of the day, I want everybody to win. And so if I'm putting my feet on your neck, I go against what I believe in. Yeah. If I'm not helping you out, I go against what I believe in. If you call me and say, "Girl, I'm looking to do da-da-da-da," I'm going to stop and try to figure it out, right? Because I want you to win. Yeah. And so at the core of it is just that value. I believe in an abundance mindset. Everybody can win. You winning just makes it better for me. It doesn't take anything from me. That's not what most people believe. And we know that.
Now we're back to reality.
Yeah, and so it's hurt me in some instances because I have lost. Yeah. But honestly, the wins have been so much greater.
What say you to a person who is, and to me, I guess, maybe this is just for me, my question. I was having a conversation with my therapist yesterday, and I was talking to her about things that I feel like are cheating the system or not true to how I want to move in this industry. And I was specifically talking, and it's no shade to anyone because everybody does what they need to do. I was specifically talking about buying followers. Oh, and we're in a time now where you can be super talented. Yeah. But if you don't have this many followers, you don't get the opportunities. That is the reality of where we are.
I know.
And I was talking to her about this, and she said, well, what? And it's not that she wasn't in favor of what I was saying, but she said, why do you feel that way? Why do you feel like this is not something, buying followers is something you don't want to do? And I said, because I feel like it's lying. I feel like it's deception. Yeah. But then you sit in the middle and toe line between potentially, okay, you buy them and then you get what you've been praying for and asking for and wanting and ready for, or you don't, and you still picking at straws and trying to figure things out, but you get to sleep at night and feel like, okay, I'm honest with myself and other people. Yeah. Like, what say you to people who are kind of juggling that, who are trying to, walk that walk because that's what they believe in. Yeah. But they're not necessarily seeing the consequences of abundance on the other side of that right now.
Yeah, that's a great, great question. And it's, I'm gonna go left to come right.
Come on then.
Yeah, so because I've really wrestled with that reality. And I've honestly had business advisors, specific to buying followers, and because I wouldn't do it. And I've had them advise me, it literally, Sheri, it's just like a jump start. Like, it's not being, you're not losing your integrity. It's like a jump start. And I've had people advise me, like, all you're doing is it's just another marketing strategy that's giving you more exposure, all of that.
Yeah.
And what I finally kind of settled with is and it's kind of broader than social media, but it really does kind of speak to the essence of what you're asking, is there is doing business with snakes and there's doing business with poisonous snakes, right? So a snake by nature is going to bite you.
Right. A
snake by nature is going to do what a snake does. But when you do business with a non-poisonous snake, right, that means someone that may do it different than you, but there's a core philosophy that you share. Like, they just may do it differently. There may be an environmental difference that they have. There may be a cultural difference that they have. But it's just different. Well, if they bite, you're not going to die. Okay, let's put that in perspective. That means they may see things differently, and they may be in a meeting. They may throw you under the bus, right?
Ain't nothing like a good old throw under the bus. Because people going to do it, whether you like it or not.
And they may throw you under the bus, but you guys walk out with the deal.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
So they bit you, but you didn't die. Now, a poisonous snake is someone who will lie and cheat, and there's a different level of integrity. And I'm not going to do business with them. And so what I had to learn was, Sheri, it's okay to do business with someone who may just think different than you, but it's not okay to do business with someone who doesn't have the same integrity, who at the core, they do things differently. And I honestly, when I began to look at it that way, it allowed me to still have my own barriers. So for me, let's go back to the social media. If a person buys followers and they have a curriculum that is going to truly help, and it allows them to bring more exposure to that, okay, there's a reason for that to be a bridge. Where I got issue is you buy followers and you ain't got no substance.
Your page is whack.
And so now you're elevated with nothing.
Right.
And the people who then continue to elevate that and know there's nothing. So let's say you literally buy some followers, get more exposure, you get a talk show. I know you getting ready to help people from my mouth to God's ears, right? Well, you're literally getting in a position that's going to help so many people. Now let's go to the person who buys followers. They ain't saying nothing. They get elevated, and honestly, they're hurting everybody except their pocketbook. I got challenged with that. So I just think it's when you really look at how does it fit in your integral, in your realm of what matters to you. Don't always down the sword, but be very intentional about not getting killed by the sword either.
Come on. you got proverbs. Like, I wish there was a page in the Bible that you could just write your stuff in. Just one little page with your stuff.
Oh my God. It all comes from him. So maybe we could just fit it.
I like that. Don't down the sword.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But don't get killed by it either.
Don't get killed by it either.
Yeah.
You ain't got to lay on the sword.
Yeah, that's that part. And it really is a thin line. But I believe, and here's kind of the route I've taken, I've had to take a harder path, but cream rises to the top. When I first started my coaching business, everybody and their mama during that season was coaches. When the reality was most of them were just out of work.
That's how I feel about podcasting.
Yeah.
Everybody's got one.
Yeah. But I had to really accept, Sheri, half of them are going to be gone tomorrow because they're not in it for the right reasons of the long haul. But more importantly, just play your game. Like, play your game. Rise to the top off of the impact that you're going to have. And that's what's transpiring and because I've always prided myself on doing it the right way, whatever that was for me and my relationship with God, right? Doing it the right way. When I get there, my name, I mean, Oh my
Yes.
God. What I've always wanted is I've always wanted a name that stood for something. And so when you hear Sheri Riley or Sharí Nycole, for those who still call me Sharí Nycole, there's always, oh, she's, she's good, she's integral, there's respect. People may not like me, right? But there's nothing but good things they say.
Yeah.
So that's always been most important for me.
I know that it takes a team. I don't believe that any dream is achieved alone.
Yes.
Okay. But also I understand that you have your business. You lead the charge.
Yes.
How do you gauge when someone's a good business partner, someone that you can partner with? And it might just be, a particular deal, a short run contract, or it might be something that's more extensive. You talked about that 10-year call that you finally got to do. So how do you gauge, keeping in mind integrity and things we just talked about, who's a good person for you to align yourself with professionally?
Great question. Because, my company, the holding company is Glue, Developing Partnerships That Stick. And the first reiteration of the company was a consulting firm. And we had businesses that we partnered with. Our whole company philosophy was companies coming together. So sometimes we were the silent partner with other companies. Sometimes other companies were the silent partner with us. And so that literally was how I built my business for 17 years. And really, some of the ways that I assessed that was their level of commitment to excellence. Like, that's priority. Well, integrity first, right?
Yeah.
Integrity, loyalty, but then their commitment to excellence. Do they see the outcome or how to get to the outcome the same way I do? Monica Coleman, whom I absolutely love, worked with me for, I guess, 11 years. We did so much amazing, or 7 years. So much amazing work together. Deetra Giles is now, which we love. We love. Yes, so we partner, collaborate on a lot of work now. But it really is that commitment to excellence. Bringing an expertise that I don't bring.
Okay.
That's so critical. And how that expertise is then executed. Also, what the lifestyle that they live, how does it support the work that we got to do together? Right? That's so very important. Not that we have to have the same lifestyle, because there's people who are single, there's people who's married,
Right.
people with children, people not children. But if you want to vacation and not do what you have to do to be gone, like, you can vacation, but what do you need to do?
I can't stand when people leave and their stuff is not done.
Oh my God.
And there's deadlines sitting in front of everybody else, and they have to pick up the pieces because you just went down to the vacation and said, I don't
kicked
care.
it, right? Or you're like, well, I'm going to leave the office every day at 5 o'clock. Okay, that's fine. But when we do have things that have to get done, are you open and flexible to that, right?
Yeah.
So there's a company right now, and all of their consultants are international. So their company structure is like 3 a.m. to 12 p.m. Okay, that's fine. But your clients are more American based. So if we need to communicate at 6 p.m. or let's say 3 p.m. in the afternoon, but you don't want to because your team is not working, then that to me is out of alignment as far as us doing business together.
Okay.
Right? Because we don't share an alignment in that area. Works for you, but it may not work for me. So I now have to find someone else that would bring that level of expertise. So it's those little things that can rock a relationship or make a relationship work. But then I'll tell you, one of the key things is I'm not going to cuss, but
Come on and laugh at
y'all
yourself.
going to understand what I'm going to say. Is you got to really sit down and have a conversation on what are the things that will F this up. And put them on the table. If you, like, what are them things about you that could F this up?
What are those things about you? You,
Yes.
not other people.
Not the other person.
Self-awareness.
Yes.
Amen.
And really put those things on the table and then be able to communicate when those things come up or when other things that you didn't know come up. And be able to really communicate. Honestly communicate is so key.
I like how you said the things about you.
Yes.
And I want to move into something kind of in that vein. I know you had a retreat on the West Coast a couple months ago. I missed it because I was working and
We got to get you out there.
But I will be.
Power Broker Academy.
My plan, the
Yes.
next time I'll be down to the Power Broker Academy.
Yes.
With that said, fellas, I'm going to leave you out of it. this is not for you right now. You probably don't even want this because this is a tough question. But what charge in this season are you really imparting in Black women, and why?
Great question. See, this is why she's so dope.
I like
this
to
is
ask
why
questions.
she's so
It's fun.
dope. I love it. See, this is why there was nothing we needed to plan before. We needed this, yes. The charge I'm giving Black women right now is own your greatness. You know, everything around us is either challenging us to be more than we want to be, or minimizing what all we really are, right? And so we're either trying to be more than what we have to be to compensate, or we're being pressed down and saying, suppress who you are. And I'm saying, don't do either one. Own your greatness. If you want to be a mom that doesn't work outside the home, be that. If you want to have 4 careers, 4 jobs, 4 careers, and a company on the side, be that.
Yeah.
If you want to be married with 2 children, be that. If you don't want to be married with no children, be that. But what I don't want us to do is whatever you choose, I don't want you to down the other woman that chose something different than you. Right? When you own your greatness, you don't have to justify your greatness by minimizing someone else's journey.
Yeah.
So I have a challenge where it's like, well, if I'm married with 3 children, then I have a certain thing about women who are single with no children. I had a potential client tell me one time, who knows me, who literally said a woman who's married and has children but has a job or a company could never be a good mother. And I was
She said it to your face?
We're on a call.
Oh, no, she crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry.
And was serious. And I said, because we're friends too. So I was like, you're talking to me, right? But because it was a potential coaching opportunity, I stayed in the coaching space. And as I listened and worked through it, but the reality of that was she had to hold on to that truth in order for her to have peace in her decision. And her decision was to be at home. And we didn't end up working together, but if we had worked together, what I would have empowered her to do is own in peace her decision and understand the value in her decision, and also understand the value in a woman who can work and have children and be an amazing mother. Because I'm an amazing mother and I love what I do. And so I would have helped her understand you don't have to minimize someone else's greatness to elevate your own. And so when we really own, and that's why I love coaching. That's why I love coaching. And I wish more Black women did empower themselves with coaching. Because, for us, for whatever reason, financial, stretch thin, compensation, whatever, we don't get as much support as we need. And I'm glad you said that, like your therapist, right? Because we do need more support. We need more support. So one, own our greatness, and then get the support we need.
You mentioned something when you were talking about that phone call. And you said because it was a coaching call, you had to stay in that space and hear something that actually you didn't like.
Yeah.
Low key, kind of disrespectful.
Little shade.
Right, little shade. So keeping that ability that you have in mind to remain humble in those types of situations, in the industries that you're able to maneuver and move in, how do you work in a capacity where you're intertwining boldness and humility?
Yes.
How do you do that?
Yes. They're not as far apart as you would think, because it does take boldness to be humble, and it takes humility to be bold. I say every morning, I'm confident, I'm grateful, I'm confident, I'm free, I'm bold, I'm me. I say that every morning. I'm grateful, I'm confident, I'm free, I'm bold, I'm me. And because Boldness is not being disrespectful. It's not being arrogant. It's not cutting people off. It's not talking over people. But we equate that to being bold.
Yeah,
right?
sadly.
Boldness is not disrespecting someone else, but we equate that to being bold. Humility is meekness under control, right? And so to be humble, a lot of times is because you really value your greatness. So you don't have to throw it out there. And, when you said in the very beginning in the intro that I'm so behind, the great people and the success, right? The success whisperer. But I'm the one that people would always say to me, I'm the one behind the one that's successful. And that humility for me is I love to see other people win. I love to see other people shine. And so when you understand what boldness is, that it's not being abrasive, and you understand that humility is not losing yourself.
Yeah.
And the true definition, humility is being able to own your value. Boldness is being able to own your value. So they're not that far apart, right? And so I want, and I've actually, the reason I said I'm grateful, I'm confident, I'm free, I'm bold, I'm me, is because I believe it takes so much boldness to be you. Just to be who you really are. Because we're always trying to blend and make people feel comfortable and fit in. And then humility is being able to really see other people shine and understand that their light doesn't dim your light. It just doesn't. So I think they're closer aligned than we think they are because we have the wrong definition of both.
Yeah. Who, or can you identify a time in your life specific where you can say, in that season of my life, I was able to own my greatness?
I'm in it right now. And to be very transparent with all that I've done, with all the success I've had, with all the accomplishments that I've had, I am just now owning my greatness. I've done every stage of my life, LaFace Records, having my company Glue for 17 years, transitioning, doing the work that I do now with professional athletes, NBA coaches, corporate executives, entrepreneurs. I'm just now owning my greatness. And the reason I'm so committed to working with younger people, young executives, young entrepreneurs, young athletes, is I don't want people to get to the age I'm at to finally own their greatness. I don't. And so it's now. And I'll add to that, why is it now? Why is it now? When you were at LaFace, when you were doing this, why didn't you own your greatness then? And what I found is it's the challenge so many high performers have. I was driven, but I wasn't confident.
I feel like I'm in that space right now.
Yeah. And I because I believe drive and confidence were synonymous, I didn't realize drive is what pushes us to achieve. Confidence is who we are when we get there. Right? And so I had to understand I want drive and confidence together. And so I had to really begin to get intentional about growing my confidence. And that's what I have found has been the greatest gap for high performers that I work with, whether they're professional athletes, whether they're a corporate executive, entrepreneur, TV personality, radio personality. There's always somewhere a gap in that drive and confidence. Yeah.
So are there any tactical and practical things, and it could be a few, that people can do to help build their confidence?
Yes. One is really get intentional about monitoring your thinking, right? We think that we believe just because we think something is right.
Let me tell you.
We believe just because we think something, oh my God, we think it's right. And so we have to first manage our mindset. And one of the first things I do with my clients is I put them on what I call a peace and a positive mind challenge. And that is really acknowledge your thoughts. And when those thoughts are negative, arrest them. And in arresting them, meaning taking hold of them and then replace them. Replace them with that positive thought. Because 90% of our challenges is what we're thinking.
Yeah.
So starting there. And then, really recognizing what I've already said. Stop saying I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, but stop saying that.
Yeah, stop saying I don't know.
I actually don't think I say that much. Now, this is what I say. I don't know, but let me go find the answer. I do say that, and then I go down to the Google or I call somebody I know that I think knows it, and then I problem solve it. I don't stop there.
Well, that's external.
Okay.
I'm talking about when it's an internal.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna back up off that. I don't think that one's for me.
Yeah, when that internal, when I say, so, well, what do you think your challenge is in your confidence? And people go, I don't know. Yeah, you think, come on, what do you know, right? And so starting removing that I don't know.
Yeah.
And then, giving ourselves permission, ... right? Giving ourselves permission to get help. Giving ourselves permission to take some time and just personally reflect. Mm-hmm. Being intentional about our downtime. I'm a woman of a certain age, so I don't know if y'all can see that I'm glistening right now.
You are glistening. And cut. We're gonna get her a tissue and come right back. And we're back.
Yes.
The hot flash, I believe, is under control.
Oh my God, I think so for the moment. And we weren't talking about women, right?
Oh my God.
That's a whole nother podcast. We need to have a whole nother conversation.
It's scary to me. I'm 37. I'm nervous.
Let me tell you, it affects us in so many ways that we don't really understand, that I really want to start talking to women your age, so that you can learn about it on the front end and not at 50 realize, oh, this has been this all along. Like I wasn't crazy. Marriages, I believe this with all my heart. Marriages have ended just because we didn't know about perimenopause and menopause. Relationships have been severed with family members. Jobs have been lost because Deetra and I were, she saw it firsthand. We were in Seattle in July, and I actually get a hormonal treatment for mine. And it was overdue because I hadn't been able, I was about a month overdue. When I tell you, I was so miserable. I was so out of sync. We went to check in the hotel and oh my God.
You can laugh about it.
Let me tell you, we went to check in the hotel and the young lady said, may I have your ID? And I said, I don't work here. And literally, my brain was like, no, she means your ID to check. But that's what came out. And it was, and yes, and we busted out laughing. And then just the level of mental fog, the hot flashes, the level, it felt like there were just nets in my head, just, it was horrible. And she saw it firsthand. And so it was like, you really see how people live that way and not know what it is.
Yeah.
And the moment I got my hormonal treatment,
you would know.
A day and a half later, I was back. You can't sleep. You have insomnia. And so it really affects your quality of life. It really does. Yeah. I know.
I would say Eve, but Adam, it's your fault, low key.
Right.
If you want to be technical, we walk around mad at Eve, it's Adam's fault.
Right.
Sick of it. Well, thank you in this moment for giving back, because I just learned something, and I'm sure women watching, young women or women who are a little bit older than me, will say, okay, I'm glad somebody said something.
Yeah.
And I'm not alone, or I have some more information.
And you're not crazy.
You might be a little crazy. You're just crazier because you don't have your stuff.
Right. That part.
I want to talk about philanthropy with you, which is not crazy, and you're very much involved in the community on a lot of different levels. What are you enjoying most about your philanthropic work right now, and what are some organizations or causes that you're very passionate about that you really would love for people to kind of at least have more awareness around?
I have my own scholarship at the University of Louisville. We put kids through college that are from my hometown that go to the University of Louisville. Breast cancer has always been important to me, and there's people close to me that are it's some form of it. So breast cancer is one that I've committed my time, my money. I've walked the 60 miles from Lake Lanier to Piedmont Park. Silence the Shame, which Shanti does. Always support. And then one that just came on my radar that in 2024 I'm gonna definitely commit my time to is children without mothers. I think it's students without mothers or children without mothers. I think it's students without mothers. Just came on my radar. I heard about it on the radio, and everything in my spirit jumped. Everything in my spirit jumped. So in 2024, I'm going to definitely commit my time to that.
What's the next progression for the doctor? Sheri Riley, the success whisperer.
The success whisperer. I love that. Oh my God, I love that for so many reasons. The next progression is really scaling my company to a place where the company grows and continues the impact without me. Yeah, where we continue the impact, we continue the work. But for me, the freedom to come out of the day-to-day and really be more about how I represent the brand as a whole.
Yeah.
But the day-to-day is managed by someone else. I had a coaching call with my coach earlier today, and he asked me, if we're having this call 3 years from now, where do you want to be? And that was so clear for me, the freedom, because I work a lot.
Yeah,
I'm very good at how I allocate my time, but I work a lot. And I just want to get to the point where the company continues to work hard and impact.
Yeah.
And I get to do it at a different way.
Work a lot. I know, because I'm listening to you like, I do too. I just set these cameras up and the audio and all this stuff.
She just told me she going to be up to 1:30
editing something. I'm telling you, I'm 25 people in one body. And there's a lot of people that can say the same, especially we're in very interesting times.
Yes.
Especially since COVID.
Yes.
So what would be your advice as we kind of close this thing on out to somebody who may be watching who's saying, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, and then some. I'm overstretched. I'm two inches away from running right into a wall. Yes. Literally. I want to quit. This is not worth it. I don't know what I'm going to figure out, but this is not it. What say you to lift the spirits of somebody who is on the cusp of legitimate collapse?
Well, the first thing I would say is, are you on the cusp of legitimate collapse, or are you at a place where you got to redefine your capacity, right? And are you really focusing on the most important things, right? So I'm gonna kind of break that down in two things.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start with the latter. One of the first things we do at our clients is, what are the three most important things, right? All of it's important. But if I literally I said to you, you have to give me the three most important, right? Three most important. And it can't be three most important personal, three most important professional. It's the three most important.
It's a tough one.
Oh, I know.
I'm thinking, man, what is my list?
But I will tell you, when you get intentional, it won't be that hard. The hard part is getting intentional because of the fear of, but if I don't do this, if I don't do that. But when you really define the three most important, what that does, it allows you to separate the distractions from the opportunities. Because one of the greatest challenges we have in capacity is that we're out here working on a lot of distractions wrapped up in a pretty bow, looking like opportunities.
You better preach. You better come on and preach.
So I would say redefining, are you really at this capacity, or do you need to get clear on what's most important? Do you need to identify the opportunities that are really distractions? And then the third thing is really getting clear on your definition of success. So many of us really don't evaluate yearly our definition of success. Because my definition of, literally, it should be a little evolution to it every year. My definition of success for 2024 is to generally do the work for my daughter to get 4 rides to school. She's going to get in. She's got the grades. She's got all of that. But I want her to get 4 rides.
Yeah.
So 2024, I need my time allocated where that's our focus. So my definition of success for 2024 is my daughter, because my long-term definition of success is that freedom we talked about.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm still having to hustle for the next 5 years to put her through college, then how it affects the long term? Yes. So getting clear on what is your annual definition of success. Because I think if I ask you what it is now, it's different than what it was 5 years ago.
Don't ask me nothing, because I'm nervous. Don't put me on the spot. This is not about me. This is about you, Sheri Riley.
Because if I ask her, she went like, girl, hold on. This is not a coaching session. 3. Right.
I'm sweating now. And
but you know what's so interesting? Just from our last lunch, I won't, but I could tell you your top 3.
Why don't you want to tell me? Go ahead and do it. I feel like it's like a fortune teller.
Well,
reading
one
session.
of them is what you want to accomplish with your own personal brand.
Correct.
Right?
That is true.
But if we're honest, more of your time goes to everyone else's brand. See, I told I didn't want to do it on camera. I thought I didn't want to do it.
What is this show? What is going on?
So if we just started there.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I was working hard. Apparently I'm not doing enough.
But it literally, right? If you're honest, if you literally went in and shifted some of that time on you. Mm-hmm. But here's the trap. We got to survive, right? We got to survive. Yes. Yeah. And so there's this catch-22 in it, right? But the work we would do is we would really align how you survive, but how you shift more of that intention around your personal brand.
Yes.
And the thing is that, again, I'm my first and most important client, going back to excuses. Oh, I had every excuse in the world. I got a family, I got kids, but literally it was just little tweaks I had to make. It was when I made those little tweaks consistently, we haven't missed a mortgage payment, and my personal brand has grown, or whatever that thing is, right? And so it's the intentionality in it that we have to take ownership of. And so that's what we would do. We start there.
Don't say my other 2, because you're not about to do this to me on my platform.
On your own show.
That's attached to my personal brand.
And I'm going to tell you, here's the thing, and why I work with high performers like you, is because we're so capable and gifted to do so many things. And I know, it's hard to say no.
It is. I'm doing better.
Right, especially when it's in your lane and in your gifting.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then the more we say yes, the bigger and badder and the more that's going to come to us, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's really just being able to manage how and when we say no.
Yeah.
But it's hard. My coach today just told me, after years of, I thought, narrowing it down, just told me I got to narrow it down even more.
I narrow down stuff.
Oh my God.
I rebuke that spirit in the name of Jesus.
But you know what?
It's so hard to do.
But he was right.
And they're always right when they say that. It's just like, it's tough.
And actually, by the time we got off the call, in that intentionality of narrowing it down, it took the fluff off. It made it even more succinct and clear, right? So I'm not losing. I'm going to gain more.
Yeah.
But it's hard when you are what one of my clients and a good friend says, when you're a multi-passionate. Yeah, when you're a multi-passionate, it's hard to identify and focus in on 1, 2, 3 things. But it's the greatest gift we can give ourselves. And it creates momentum.
Come on, momentum.
And it creates momentum. The less you focus on, the more momentum you create.
I like that.
Yeah.
Please take notes.
Yeah, the less
and
that's a new one for me too. The less you focus on, the more momentum you create. That's my takeaway for today. I need to make sure we write that down. Yeah.
I'm going to write it down. I'm going to cut the clip. I'm going to send it to you so you never forget.
Yes. I think that may be the social media.
Yes. I love it.
Yeah.
I love this time. And I don't want to inundate you with a bunch of people. So I want to be respectful of how people connect with you, whether it be life coaching, whether it's, hey, I want to grab one of Dr. Sheri Riley's books. I want to partner with her in some way. What's the best way for people to kind of keep tabs on you without harassing you or doing the most or coming in your inbox or trying to get a hold of you and they really ain't talking about much of that?
Okay, be intentional. But no, at Sheri, so everything is Sheri Riley. Mm-hmm. So Instagram at Sheri Riley, LinkedIn at SheriRiley.com, DOTCOM. Website is Sheri Riley. And then also go to PowerbrokerAcademy.com. Though PowerbrokerAcademy.com is for corporate executives and entrepreneurs who are at that place of capacity challenges, they're in transition, or they're in a place of unfulfillment. You have everything you want and something is missing. And so it's an 8-week mastermind. Then we're always open for one-on-one coaching, always. I
love that.
Yes.
I just love you.
Oh, it's
Thank
so
you.
Mutual.
Thank
Can
you
I
for
tell you
this.
how excited I am that we got this time?
Me too.
We've been trying to get this together.
About 2 years.
Oh my
now.
God, yes, like
longer
for
than
real. And it took lunch for us to finally
Yes.
look.
We figured it
But
out.
this is gonna be an ongoing
Absolutely.
consistency.
Absolutely.
Because you know,
I think we're
I have
doing
loved
better.
you from afar for so long.
Oh, I adore you.
Yes.
I'm glad that Rashawn Ali,
Yes.
Sister Circle
Sister
season
Circle,
1.
yes.
And I was not familiar with you at the time.
Yep.
And she brought you in there. I said, oh, she dope. I like her.
I know,
And she's
literally.
so nice and calm.
That's literally what you said. Literally when I finished the interview, you was like, "Oh my God, I like you.
I like
She's
smart
so-"
people.
Yeah.
I love smart people. People that drop gems just in their everyday talk. Those are my kind of people.
And you know what I really took away? You kept saying, "And you are so nice," and you because in your industry. You come across so many people that walk into that stage and
Yes.
feel like the lights make them be something they're
Yes,
not.
correct.
And I just came in being me, and you were
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God!"
It was very refreshing.
Yeah.
I've encountered a lot of different types of people.
Yeah.
So yes, it was very refreshing.
Yeah, and that's what I've always prided myself on, is just being me. I'm just a small town girl from Kentucky.
I'm just from Chicago, but I guess my parents did all right.
They did. Because here's the thing, on the opposite side of that, that was true of you too. Because the opposite side is true. You can come on and the producers was like, you know, got to let everybody know that they're bigger than life. And your energy, oh my God, so much fun.
I love people.
Oh, and it so comes across. It so comes across. That show was so special. And you were a big part of that. And you, oh yeah, I knew then. I was like, oh, that one right there, that one, That's why we gon' keep elevating, because there's so much more you got for the world. I already know.
Uh-oh.
Yes, yes,
I received that.
yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Cut before I start crying.
It's just a thought. It's just a thought. Just my opinion. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. Get out your feelings. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. Just my opinion.